Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is CeeChronicles and I post fragrance related content on this platform. Now if you're new and you are not subscribed but you like fragrance related content, especially those fragrances from the Middle East, then you are at the right place. Please do consider clicking the subscribe button and joining the family. And to those who are returning, thank you so much for the continued support. Kindly note that this is not a sponsored channel, so I rely on AdSense. So please try not to skip through ads. Alternatively, you can support the channel by going to my description where there is my picture there and clicking on the PayPal link and dropping a donation of your choice that will go towards the purchases of some of the fragrances on this channel. Welcome to today's video. Vanilla fragrances are the most requested on this channel. I often get those requests. Vanilla Gourmand, Vanilla Gourmand. Now today I'm going to present to you some vanilla forward fragrances from the Middle East. Some of them will have vanilla as a standalone note and some of them will have the vanilla swimming and working in tandem with other notes, but it's still the vanilla that ultimately wins at the end of the day. So that was the qualifying factor for me to bring some of the fragrances here. The first one on the lineup, guys, is going to be from Bouquet, and this is Bouquet Vanilla. Now, just by the name, you will know that there is vanilla, of course. So there is a combination of tobacco and spices, and you are to expect some dried fruits as well. They are able to extract, especially dates. I don't know why, for some reason, but there is, amidst those dried fruits, if you can imagine the dried fruits, but there is going to be a feel of dates and a feel of raisins at the same time. And then there is a cacao that's going to rise in this combination, and that cacao mixes with that vanilla to anchor the vanilla. So in as much as it is a woody, spicy scent, it's ultimately that vanilla that wins because it is then anchored, guys, by that chocolate note there, mixing with those dried fruits, giving it like a jammy feel and a pronounced vanillin feel. This is a fragrance, guys, I definitely recommend for anybody who loves vanilla fragrances. However, the DNA in itself seems to be a no-brainer for men than it would be for women. But if you're a woman and you're accustomed to a lot of fragrances, you are going to not have a problem pulling this off. What I mean is, I'm going to put it at a ratio of 75% masculine and 25% feminine. As a fragrance, guys, inspired by Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanilla. So if you love that fragrance, you ought to maybe try this one. Bouquet Vanilla from the house of Bouquet, and it's the first one on this lineup. The second one that, didn't even need to negotiate with me to be here is this one, December Vanilla from the house of Paris Kuna. Drawing its inspiration, guys, from Vanilla Royale Sugared Patchouli from Kayali. I'm not sure how, the fragrances or the Middle Eastern houses work there, because it does seem like there is like this fast fingers first on the Kayali DNAs, to an extent that we are to expect even, one of those Kayali, the latest launch, that Candy something, could very well have somebody in a factory trying to dupe it. I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, it just comes across as pretty odd. I don't know how it works in the fragrance industry or how they do it that side. I just don't know whether they just drop DNAs there and whoever, is able to encode it can just use it. But I feel there should be a little bit of maybe some respect when it comes to their own, if you know what I mean. Anyway, December Vanilla is here, guys, because it is composed of that double dose of vanilla. So this, in as much as it is inspired by that Vanilla Royale Sugared Patchouli, you are to expect that patchouli and in its pronounced form, but ultimately the vanilla wins here. Kind of like saying, let us reason together. Undoubtedly, you ought to love patchouli for you to love this fragrance, but the vanilla is double dosed as well as a double dose of sugar. So if you take that sugar, caramelize it there, have it maybe in like a woody backdrop and make it so pronounced that it's sticky. In as much as this fragrance has the patchouli, it is the vanilla that's also going to be doing the most there. So definitely one fragrance is going to be a wow factor to anybody who loves vanilla forward fragrances. However, this may come across as a bit challenging because the limelight is on both the patchouli and the vanilla. So there's going to be that sweetness. It's almost like when you're trying to discipline a baby or a toddler because they've done something, and you kind of like just slap them on the fingers there and then quickly give them a hug. That is how this fragrance interprets, where it's it's got the patchouli, it's got the greenness there, it's got the woods and the spices and all sorts of things. And then there's that vanilla that is kind of like, making sure that it stays sweet. It doesn't borderline or cross over to annoying, if you will. But this, if you don't like patchouli, like I said, you ought to test it, because it's kind of like, a push and pull. But yes, the vanilla is pronounced. Second one on the lineup, guys, December Vanilla from the House of Paris Corner. And then we have a fragrance that I haven't featured here for a very long time. I think we haven't spoken about Barakat Gentle Gold for over a year now. This is one fragrance that just went to the back burner of my fragrances, and I kind of forgot about it until I was kind of shuffling my fragrances up, because I did buy some organizers there, and I was like, oh, there you are, because I'd actually completely forgotten this beautiful vanilla. This, of course, is cloning that MFK's Gentle Fluidity Gold. So if you were looking for an alternative, you've got one from Fragrance World. However, this is a vanilla that is so smooth. It is comforting. It's soft. It's fuzzy. It's just a nice, delicate vanilla. To my nose, this fragrance is not at all trying to clone Spirituous Double Vanille, but the way the vanilla, guys, is just waxed up there and comes off so smooth and, embery, that sort of thing. It kind of feels like they were going for somebody to have that kind of sensory smell that translates the vanilla in that smooth way. So in that regard, I'm going to say kind of interprets in the same manner, but it's not a clone of Spirituous Double Vanille. It just is one of those vanillas that is not pushing too much. It's one of those vanillas that is not sticky. It's a vanilla that is working with a juniper, but the juniper is careful enough to just make it about the vanilla. It's a vanilla that is working as well with maybe some woods in here, but it's careful enough. The woods are careful enough to say, let it be about the vanilla and the amber. So you're going to get a most refined vanilla in this fragrance, guys, and one that is actually easy to pull off, whether you're a man or woman. So I do get a unisex tone in this fragrance. It's the third one on the lineup, guys, Fragrance World's Barakat Gentle Gold. And then we have this fragrance, guys. Confession. This is the reason why I actually decided to do this video. I did have a subscriber in the comment section that came specifically for this. They said they just finished watching the video where I dedicated a review of just this, and they were wondering whether, in as much as it's not a Spirituous Double Vanille clone, it's a good enough vanilla. And then that's kind of like, jotted my memory to say, oh yeah, I've been promising a vanilla video for a very long time. So we have again from Fragrance World, but this time Vanilla So Sweet, a fragrance that was marketed as drawing inspiration from Spirituous Double Vanille, but it comes across to my nose as a soury vanilla working together with like a cinnamon tone there, spices as well as some wood. So there's a little bit of some booziness to this vanilla, a sourish tone, not necessarily burnt or sticky, but you will get the vanilla. It's good enough to wear on its own, but at the same time, it does, kind of speak as a fragrance that would amp up another fragrance, if you will. So this is the sort of fragrance that you can also use for layering if you are into layering. However, if you want to just wear it on its own, you can. And it does have that uncanny resemblance to Angel's Share without necessarily it being a 100% clone of Angel's Share. So definitely not your Spirituous Double Vanille twin, but it does contain a vanilla enough to qualify for this list. It's the fourth one on the lineup, guys, Vanilla So Sweet from Fragrance World. And then I had to add this one on number 5, Boo. I always say Bouthania. And then I have people correcting me, Butaina. Some of these words, just get, you see, when you realize that you've made a mistake, especially after a video, you kind of have to do the whole thing because the angle is different. You've yanked off the camera and stuff like that. So sometimes you just let it be and you say, I just hope you guys will understand that I'm doing the best I can to pronounce words that share nothing with my vernacular or the English language. Okay, so this is Astaf's Butaina. It's here, guys, because this is mostly built around sugar. If you love sugar, simply put, brown sugar, you can take some brown sugar in your home, open it up there, smell it there. Now imagine that brown sugar with a vanilla-y tone, kind of like a boozy vanilla-y tone, and then a little bit of an aquatic feel of a pear. That's the roundup of this fragrance. It feels pretty odd, I'm going to have to say that, especially if you're not accustomed to a lot of fragrances. It's going to come across as, what what on earth were they doing? But it's so stubborn enough to stick, especially if you wear it on, thickly woven clothes or like your tracksuit or something like that. It's so stubborn that it will last for days. So you have this sticky, vanilla-y sugar feel that is following you around, caramelized, burnt ear to an extent, even boozy to an extent, but that's not going away. So this is a fragrance that if you find difficult, don't dismiss. Say you have blind bought it because it's affordable. Don't dismiss it. Try to pair it with other fragrances. It just comes across as either a fragrance that you will love as a standalone or a fragrance that's going to boost any other fragrance that you're having challenges with. Say, for instance, you've got a floral that's all over the place or that's doing too much, or you have a fragrance that has a sharp piercing feel within it and you want to kind of like calm it down. Bouquet is one of those fragrances that you can use for that. So it's here as a vanilla fragrance recommendation from the Middle East, and it is from the house of our stuff. Now, the one good thing about shuffling and dusting and, clearing things up is you tend to find some of these lost little minis, little samples and stuff. And I came across Eternal Oud and I was like, yes, this is another embery vanilla fragrance. I just have mine in a mini, guys, because I didn't feel the need to buy the full size. Not because it's a bit fragrance, no, but it's just one of those things that sometimes 20 mils is enough. So the 20 mil was enough for me. Inspired, of course, by Grand Soir. Do not let the name Eternal Oud that Latafa chose here put you off. The oud is there, but it's very guarded. What you're going to get is a prominent vanilla note mixing with amber. And as the fragrance sits even longer, it becomes even warmer, even sweeter, with an unmistakable, calming, sweet, gentle wrap up of that mix of that vanilla and amber. So simply put, guys, this is just going to be your embery vanilla scent. This is great as a standalone. I would never layer this fragrance, but for those who like to layer fragrances, absolutely you could. It does have a little bit of an aromaticness now that it has set for long, but that aromaticness is not pulling too oudy to an extent of calling it Eternal Oud, right? So it does have oud. I'm not dismissing the fact that it does have oud, but all I'm saying is the oud is not the sort of oud that is ouding to an extent that it will be off-putting if you're a newcomer. It kind of feels like a starter oud, if you will, with that vanilla pacifying everything and making sure that everything remains in check there. Nice, sweet, and warm. Eternal Oud, guys, is the 6th one on this lineup. Now, 7 and 8, I'm going to have to present as a pair, right? Not that these fragrances smell alike, but because they're from the same house, right? Utopia Vanilla Cocoa, as well as Vanilla 28. And I don't think I have much to say about these two fragrances, except just to show you, because if I didn't bring them here, I know I would have at least 5 comments saying, what about Vanilla 28? Okay, so Vanilla 28 from Keali, as well as Utopia Vanilla Cocoa, are vanilla forward fragrances. The difference is it's going to be sugar, brown sugar, and that vanilla, and a little bit of some booziness there as it gets older. And it's also gonna darken, meaning that it gets better with time, right? So this has got a better lasting power than it did when it presented. Also now is more creamier, at least to my nose, especially if you spray it on the clothing there. As I bought it, the initial impression on the first day I sprayed it was, it's all vanilla. What's the fuss about? But it is a vanilla that is a must-have in your collection. And this bottle of mine I've been savoring. In as much as I went through the first bottle I was just dousing myself with this fragrance because it literally layers everything. And heads up, it also layers every other Keali they've ever made. So if you've got a Keali that you have a problem with, whether it's Eden Juicy Apple or whatever, just try layering it with this. It's going to amp it up, right? So this is a quintessential vanilla scent that's got that syrupy accord to it, a sticky feel to it, even a little bit of some booziness there, or simply put, a pronounced brown sugar feel. Now, when it comes to Utopia Vanilla Cocoa from the same house, this is going to be your vanilla, of course, with that coconut accord. So this is going to have somewhat of a tropical feel to it. And the coconut in this is very pronounced to an extent of buttery. So if you love your vanilla, but with a buttery, creamy coconut, then this is going to do it for you. The two of them do not feel like they're a continuation of each other, except for the fact that they share that vanilla. This is distinctly coconutty, okay, coconutty. And this one is distinctly vanilla, right? So the two are actually okay to even buy as a pair. Like, it's not redundant to own one in place of the other, because they interpret differently there. So I just thought to drop them on number 7 and number 8, guys, since they're from the same house. For any person who loves vanilla forward fragrances, you can try Vanilla 28 from the house of Keali, as well as Utopia Vanilla Cocoa. But a quick one on this one, make sure you like that coconut, because it's a little bit on the drunken coconut side. And then we have, of course, another broken record, and this time it's in the name of Nebras. This fragrance would be another one that you guys would say, why didn't you include it? Why didn't you include it? In as much as I think I'm 100% sure I included it in the previous vanilla video or the previous cacao video, chocolate, whatever. I included this fragrance, but it's unmistakable, the fact that it does have a prominent vanilla, enough to, qualify for this video, but it's going to be very much on the chocolate side there. So you've got to make sure that you love your, cacao chocolate kind of feel there in a fragrance. The chocolate carries the berries, the vanilla, and a faint citrus, right? It does turn aromatic as it ages, a little bit of an aromatic tone there. But this fragrance is synonymous, for having some people turning anosmic to it. And I think it's the gooiness of the chocolate in here, guys, pairing with a sticky vanilla there that can come across as a bit muffled and mum to some people. Okay, so I can see why some people say, I can't smell this fragrance. I do smell a little bit of it and then it's gone. But it's one of those that you're guaranteed that the people around you will be able to smell a chocolatey accord around you in a sugary gourmand feel, like what's of a sugary, vanilla-y gourmand feel wrap up, around you, like as I say, in bubbles. So if you can't smell it anymore, it's unfortunate. It's probably because of how thickened that chocolate is, the way that it's just a slap in the face there that it's all chocolate. But don't stop wearing it because of that. People around you will be able to smell Nebras, guys. It's the 8th one on this list. Now, another vanilla fragrance paired with a chocolate and a musk is going to be this one. This one draws its inspiration from Chocolate Greedy. And the price of this fragrance has got a lot of people asking me, is it good enough? Why is it so cheap? Our rehab fragrances are cheap. And I know cheap is subjective, but the ones that come in this bottle and the other not so aesthetically pleasing bottles from our rehab on the affordable side. But I noticed that our rehab kind of had a jump start there where, when you jump start a battery of a car, they seem to be coming back there with the nice bottles and stuff, because I've seen a couple of bottles on Frag Bar, and the prices are pricing as well, maybe because of the bottles. But if you're to get an Al Rehab in this type of bottle, it's not going to cost you much. This, you're probably going to spare maximum $10, but that's not to say this fragrance does not smell good. This is a vanilla and chocolate offering on a bed of musk, and it's got the most gentle spices. It's like one of those most beautiful fragrances that you just need in your collection. It's a shame that the bottle doesn't look very nice, but then again, if they were to change the bottle, maybe we'll need to pay extra. So we'll just leave it as it is, right? But the juice in itself is very nice. This is great as a lone soldier or as a fragrance that you may need to pair with other fragrances that you may be having a challenge with. So do expect some chocolate there, dark chocolate, mixing with a vanilla, syrupy vanilla there, very sugary sweet fragrance, and then drying down powdery and musky. It is from the house of Al Rehab, and it's Choco Mask. Next up is going to be from Monster Fragrances, and this is a subsidiary of Paris Corner. I'm not sure whether this fragrance is readily available, like accessible worldwide, but we can still get it here. So if you are that person that loves intense cafe, that is what this one was going for. They called theirs Cafe Intense. Right now, there is that cafe note, right? That's if you buy, say for instance, you are translating the cafe, not as in cafe, but as in coffee, so might not really live to the promise of that distinct coffee. It does have a little bit if you dig enough, coffee, but it ends up being a rosy, sweet, vanillin, metallic, scent mixing with like a chocolate note in there, right? So the vanilla is prominent enough for anybody who loves vanilla to smell and to like, but it's not working alone. It's in tandem with other notes, but the sweetness, the sweet wrap up of it is what makes it, feel more vanilla-y. But it's like, to my nose, a push and pull between the vanilla chocolate, that sort of thing. And it's a good alternative if you are into that intense cafe and you're looking for something that is priced, that's not going to break the bank. Also gets better with time, this one. When you where it's, like the initial first, second, third month, it doesn't really do much. It's gone in like maybe 3-4 hours. But as it ages, it gets better and better. This is a fragrance to me that's, is there any word like car feeling? That's what I'm going to use. It will feel, okay, let us say a 3-meter scent bubble. People will be able to smell this depending on the strains. If you go heavy, they'll be able to smell you even in the 5-6 meter radius. So as it ages, it gets better with time. Sitting on 11th position, guys, is going to be Monster Fragrances, a subsidiary of Paris Corner, and this one is Cafe Intense. Now, the last two I'm going to present as a pair, simply because one is from Quentin Bish, and this is a dupe of La Belle, which is a fragrance that was created by Quentin Bish. Now, I'm not saying these two smell alike, okay? Teriyaki and this, I'm not saying smells exactly alike. In Teriyaki, I get a caramel, almondy, vanillin, sweet scent. Okay, that is what I get from teriyaki, a very caramel forward fragrance there that is working together with an apricot. So you're going to feel that fruity feel in it, right? But there is going to be an uncanny resemblance to this one, right? And by this one, I'm talking about the original, right? This is a clone of La Belle. Jean-Paul Gaultier's La Belle. This is not La Belle. This is Maison Alhambra's Glacier Ballet, right? Inspired by La Belle, the Intense, right? But the La Belle Intense was created by Quentin Bish, who in turn worked with Lattafa to create teriyaki. So there is a little bit of a footprint there that you can tell that is cut off the same cloth without necessarily being the same thing. So all I'm saying here is these two are going to satisfy anybody who loves sweet vanilla scents, right? Without necessarily being all about the vanilla. This one makes it about the vanilla, caramel, almond, and that apricot, and of course some woods and spices and a leather, right? And then this one makes it about the vanilla and a pear. So if you love, the mix of a vanilla and a pear and a jammy feel, you're going to enjoy both these fragrances. And I thought, the vanillas in this are speaking loud enough for me to qualify them for this video. So they're going to be the second from the last and the last one on this lineup. Teriyaki from the house of Lattafa, as well as Glacier Ballet from the house of Maison Alhambra. So that's it, guys. That's a wrap. I think we did talk about 13 fragrances because of the fact that I ended up making these two instead of one. So my list had 12, but I know it's at 13 because I did not put that vanilla cocoa. I just put it as an afterthought there. Those are some of the Middle Eastern vanilla forward fragrance recommendations that I have for you, and most of them are on the affordable side. There's a lot more, guys. I could have bought 20, 30, 40, but for the purposes of having videos running and making sure that content is not running out, sometimes we have to cut it at 12, cut it at 10, cut it at 20 if you have the energy. So there's a lot more. You can drop some of the recommendations in the comment section of some of the Middle Eastern vanilla forward fragrances for those who may want other options other than the ones I put in here. And remember, I do have a second channel, so I'm going to drop a Western vanilla forward fragrance recommendations in that channel. So if you're wondering why we don't have some from the Western side, it's because I do have a second channel called C Chronicles Unscripted. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been your girl C Chronicles. Remember to turn on post notifications, guys, on both my channels, which is this one and the second channel. That way you get to be notified anytime I upload a video. Meanwhile, like and share this video, and remember that smelling good is a form of good manners. Cheers.